Good morning. My name is Martin Mohammed, and when the governor asked me to be part of the working group, I was very, very excited, and at the same time, I knew what he was talking about. A couple of years ago, we put together the first U.S. African Chamber of Commerce, Birds in Power. What that was kind of scan how especially the African immigrants in the state of Minnesota are doing compared to different states. We did that project with Dr. Bruce Corey at the Concord University, and we have learned a lot. That proposal was funded by the Minneapolis Foundation, and the findings we find is consistent with what we have learned with the audit report. What we are going to release today is a report that's going to be historical, especially in the state of Minnesota. I'm going to summarize a little bit in the area of the affirmative action, contract, and human rights, especially the area that I think is benefit to the economic development of the immigrants. And the area of contract has been a historical issue for the immigrant population. And I'm going to come back to the immigrant population because I think some of the question you ask is going to come from this statement which I'm going to make. The contract, it's been a huge issue for the immigrant population. I remember 5 years ago I met with the MMMCD, Minneapolis, Midwest Minority Suppliers. And we took this initiative that asked them to incorporate a great outreach with the immigrant community so that they can become part of the contractors. And that has been an issue for the last 18 years for this community. So I think this audit report, one of the things they find out is how we can engage all together to become part of the contracting opportunity for the state of Minnesota. What we are also putting together is a competition level economic development for this state to make a better place to live. And that's what this audit report is all about. What I surprised with the report and also what I have seen in the past, it was that the issue of multicultural community. And I think that has been put together by minority, which is fine in its own way. But we have to understand, today in our state we have many, many, many communities coming from different states, different countries, and different backgrounds. We have the Asians, we have the Indians, we have the Africans, we have even a population not called, but also a Muslim, which part of Asia and part of Africa. So we have huge multicultural issue in this country, and I think one particular scenario is not going to fit. So we have to really address the issue of language and also the issue of unique segments of the population so that we can understand their economical development needs. What I have seen in the past is what I want to see from this report, from the human rights, that we need to translate economical issue as a part of human rights. Economical issue, it's really what drives that human rights cause. From what we learn from this report, and I think someone can also testify that, since 1990, the budget level for the Department for Human Rights has been less than or a little bit above the $3 million level. And that needs to change. So this audit report will release at least the energy level for the state of Minnesota. I live in the state of Minnesota last 18 years. I consider it to be really a Minnesotan, even though I came here, about 18 years ago. This is a nice state, and together we can build together. And we are doing what's called economical no one left behind, including everybody. That's what this report is all about. I have to say we have a team that really worked very hard for this report, even though I haven't participated as much as I can. But I know the community because I've been working. We have done the first U.S. African study in this state of Minnesota. We identified the purchasing power of that community to be nationwide about $65 billion. We have that report done in the past. And this report is consistent in everything we have found in the past. So I want to thank you for it. And welcome this report. Read it. If you have any question, come back to us. We will be able to work with you. And thank you so much.
I would like to thank Nancy. The last time we came to the meeting, we, as a Somali community in Minnesota, we were not really included. The audit was not really inclusive, but I'm thanking Nancy who called us to reach it to our Alliance of Somali Community in Minnesota. We had at least half an hour interview that we discussed the three main items for the human rights and affirmative action and everything. So my question is our feedback or our input, you're going to put in the report?
It's in there.
It's in there now?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let me say one more thing. What Nancy did was she went to every community, in every corner. So this report will have basically the summarization of what we have learned in that community, whether that community is the Hispanic community or the African American community or the Asians. This is what has been taking place. Now the question I think is for you, is it going to be a final? No, I think I will say probably I will encourage this kind of report to continue for the next couple of years. Monitor, see how it's being conducted, if we can add more of it, if we can change. And if we forget anything, please call us, let us know what we really need to add it. But I think a lot of things has been included with this report.
Thank you for being here. Before beginning my comments related to the historic audit, I, on behalf of the Minnesota Dakotas Area State Conference of the NAACP and the National NAACP, would like to express our sincere hope that the health of Governor Mark Dayton continues to improve. We will keep Governor Dayton and his family in our prayers. As you all know, the NAACP and its Minnesota branches are strong supporters of the great work the governor has done and is doing to keep our state second to none in the equality of life it provides for all citizens. We are especially supportive of his efforts to ensure equal access to opportunity for all Minnesotans. Governor Dayton's efforts to maintain a state that values inclusiveness and diversity is second to none, and his efforts have maintained Minnesota's great value, keeping Minnesota citizens free from discrimination and free to maximize their God-given potential. The audit that we address today is yet another example of Governor Dayton's vision, and the NAACP would like to thank him for putting forth this historic effort. We would also like to commend the auditors for their great work. This audit of the administrative application of equal access and opportunity provisions in the state's human rights, affirmative action, and contract procurement laws is the first volunteer state effort of its kind in the country. Rationale for conduct of the audit was based on the ferocious cry of equality and racial justice and the plethora of disparity reports in the marketplace, all indicating that there were problems with the administrative application of equal access and opportunity laws. The auditors have helped to identify gaps in processes and application of these specific state laws. We believe if the state implements the recommendations of the audit firm, we can begin to silence the cry of equity and racial justice and move forward toward eradicating disparities and closing process gaps. The auditor's recommendations realign state operations to address systemic issues that contribute to socioeconomic disparities in the marketplace and address underutilization of protected class citizens in state government operations. Additionally, the auditor's report makes it clear that the state is not in compliance with Title VI and Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and the state's Department of Human Rights is operating in a less than optimal manner. The NAACP calls on the governor and the legislature to act immediately during the legislative session to hold hearings on the audit report and enact these key legally defensible recommendations from the audit report. A, the human rights enforcement. Number one, increase the appropriation amount to match the increase in expenditures and need to increase resources to enable the department to have the resources necessary to implement 363A and match 1996 staffing levels. Two, create and staff regional offices in the North, South, East, and west of Minnesota to target assistance to non-English speaking and protected group residents in non-metro areas who need the assistance to prevent discrimination and who may need assistance with the filing of charges when discrimination occurs. 3, repeal the priority focus on certain duties of the commissioner so that the commissioner can carry out all of the statute's duties. 4, award grants to the various volunteer human rights commissions and other organizations throughout the state to work with the Department of Human Rights Education and efforts to prevent discrimination. B, affirmative action. Number 1, the state should self-decree that all current vacant positions and job categories that have protected class, underutilization, and future vacancies in job categories with underutilization be given preference to protected class job applicants until underutilization is eliminated. 2, hire a more robust, diverse, and culturally proficient staff with more language diversity to be more effective in all communities. C, contract procurement. The Department of Administration should consider implementing a moderate, narrowly tailored, race-conscious program of limited duration to remedy the statistical disparities that have been identified in the disparity studies. Goals of businesses owned by women and persons with disabilities should be included. The goals should be based on current availability of those groups experiencing statistically significant underutilization. The measure should be implemented for a limited duration, such as 5 years, and reviewed to determine if the disparities have been eliminated. Otherwise, the failure to achieve inclusion and utilization to remedy the disparities is likely to continue. 2, voluntarily invite the Department of Housing and Development to assist the state and government established task force with the design and implementation of a best practices Section 3 program. And 3, the legislature should give the state auditors power to annually hire an independent auditor to conduct an audit of the Human Rights Act, statewide affirmative action program, and Procurement Act implementation and compliance. The implementation of these key recommendations would bring the state in compliance with Title VI and Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and allow the Department of Human Rights to operate in a more proactive manner. The NAACP calls for the governor and the legislature to act immediately during this legislative session on holding hearings on the audit report and enact these key legally defensible recommendations from the audit report. Thank you.